watches say? How many say 3:20?
3:22.
Oh, well, I didn't
3:25.
I didn't mean to be late. My watch just got to 3:20. I'm Morley, Winograd. Along with Maryam Abbassi, we're going to speak at this hour about the Wi-Fi and beyond issues for municipalities and the city of LA specifically. Immediately following the session, the reception starts in the foyer here, so Maryam and I commit to finishing on time and not costing you a moment of drinking opportunity. My purpose on today's program is to present to you on behalf of a panel of experts, so to speak, the work we did in laying out a strategic plan for 21st century communications in the city of Los Angeles. The panel, which I'll describe the membership of in a minute, was commissioned by the former mayor, James Hahn, in order to provide the city with a bit of a roadmap, a set of guidelines on a path that might take the city to a vision that we were also asked to articulate in the course of our work. So let me give you a briefing of all that in our report that was submitted in April this year to both the mayor and the council. And then Maryam will bring you up to speed on the status of the work that's transpired in the city on this issue since that time. We had a series of experts on this panel from a range of municipal, academic, and industry backgrounds. We did initially break the discussion up into 4 subcommittees. Sarah Bradshaw from the city of LA, the now general manager of ITA, was chairing the one on the operational issues involved in putting such a thing together. Rajit God, my colleague from UCLA, I can say that today after Saturday's victory, who runs the Center on Wi-Fi and Internet Communications at UCLA, put together our technology discussions and recommendations. Richard Grimes from a company called Wireless Capital Partners did all the financial and return on investment calculations for us and some of the business model work that the Affairs Committee also talked about. And then Todd Richmond of USC's Annenberg Center for Communications provided leadership in our discussion of what applications and user environments that we want to create in Los Angeles. But the panel was unique among all the cities across America that have tackled this subject, in that there was a conscious attempt on the part of the mayor's office to bring together all of the concerned parties or stakeholders in the discussion. So it was not just academics that I've gone over or industry people, city people that I've talked about, but the different industries that all have an interest in how a municipal broadband policy might be implemented, because it affects directly the investments they've already made or are contemplating and making in the city on similar infrastructures. So from the cable industry, we had Ike Wells representing Comcast and Dean Leavenworth representing Time Warner. From the wireless world, Mark Desitels, who's the head of the Wireless Internet Caucus of the Cellular Telecommunications and Internet Association, CTIA, as well as Ken Nordholm from Motorola. And then from our fixed wireline providers, the 2 major providers in California and now in the nation, Francis Uribe of Verizon, Robert Swan, who at that time worked for SBC, now he works for AT&T, and he didn't have to change his desk for his phone. They all participated in our panel, and with the exception, somebody opened that door so they don't have to keep knocking. Of course, maybe they'll think it's really important if they're locked out, so we ought to leave it that way. What is significant about this representation of the industry types is that our panel's recommendations were reached by consensus and unanimous support, with the exception of the 2 gentlemen from cable who objected to one item in the report that I will mention. But let me first finish giving you a sense of who else was involved in this. From the city, Curtis Gibbs, Community Redevelopment. Where's Curtis? Curtis is so interested in this subject, he's still here today. So if you don't agree with anything I say, you can ask Curtis. He can tell you whether I'm right or not. He served very ably as a member of the panel from the city, along with Paul Wang, Department of Water and Power, and James Burkhart from the Board of Information Technology, and actually a commission of that board. We had great help from a couple other folks. Kurt Hessler, who is day-to-day work is owner and CEO of a company called 101 Communications that publishes a lot of the magazines that you read about. I don't know whether Government Technology magazine is one of them, so I won't comment on that. But Kurt also brings a wealth of experience on the law and policy aspects of the subject. And Russ Carlotto, who runs the Information Services Division at USC with regard to telecommunications, provided some very on-hand experience and challenges of making all this happen. So the reason I wanted you to make sure you understood all the members of the panel is this disparate set of perspectives and interests and claims and so forth over a 6-month period was able to come to a consensus around a vision, a set of values and a mission, and some first step recommendations for the city. And unlike other cities such as Philadelphia or even New Orleans, and San Francisco, where the introduction of the concept of municipal Wi-Fi has met with a great deal of controversy and in some cases legislative action either intended to impede or advance the process, and certainly a great deal of discussion from incumbents. This type of plan was unanimously signed off on by everyone. I did mention that the cable folks objected to one statement in our report where we indicate that cable is a monopoly service inside the municipality. I'm not sure how they could object to such an obvious statement, but they did. Other than that, they were also in support of the recommendation. So let's start with the values that are part of the strategic plan. These are the principles, if you will, but we call them values for a lot of good reasons, that drove the ability to reach consensus and that you might want to think about as you think about making proposals in this area. We wanted to make sure that whatever was done by way of broadband service for those who live, work, or visit in LA, was the way phrase we intended to use, that such a service was affordable, that it was convenient, that it didn't pick technological winners or losers, and that it was delivered within a structure that engaged the private sector along with government in the provision of the service. So those 4 values of affordability, convenience, technological neutrality, and public-private partnerships were the glue that held this consensus together as we worked together as a panel and a team. The ultimate vision, which I actually, Maryam, who served as inspired staff to this panel, can probably attest to, along with my memory, which isn't always that good. I think the original draft of this vision statement, in fact, came from Thera Bradshaw. But the whole panel adopted it, and it's worth reading and parsing, so I've put the whole thing up on the slide. The panel envisions the city of Los Angeles as a place where everyone who works, lives, or visits here. So keep in mind it's about business, it's about living, and it's about tourism and visiting. Everyone who works, lives, or visits here enjoys convenient and affordable broadband access to the internet. Well, we've already talked about the importance of convenience and affordability. Broadband, we spent some time engaging in the esoteric debate of what is a broadband speed, and we settled for the common American definition of at least DSL level speeds, which of course much of the world would consider not necessarily to be broadband, or certainly early generation broadbands, but for our purposes, that seemed to be the right definition given the city that we lived in and the country that we were part of. We want Los Angeles to be a broadband city both in reality and in global reputation, a very ambitious and aspiring vision to make it both happen and also to make sure that people know of it and come and affiliate the city of Los Angeles with its broadband capacity. And that is because we think that the experience of increasingly mobile, high-speed, personalized communication will help make the city a great place to live, work, and enjoy the excitement of urban life. And our report identifies a lot of the applications that would enhance the living, working experience of LA, but also how to make living in LA a cool thing to do. And most importantly, we believe that the ability for everyone to communicate easily and quickly is vital to the city's aspiration to serve as a great forum of open and free democratic discussion and creative expression. If there is one thing that you can say about Los Angeles, of course, it would be about creativity and the enormous amount of creativity that this city generates and that it's known for across the world. But it's also because of its very decentralized structure and its history and its historical way it developed as a city, it has also been one that feels free to engage in open, if not vigorous, and often dramatic democratic discussions. And we think that those discussions, as did the founders of our country think, those discussions are best done when communication is as easy, as free, and open as just possible. And we think that in this particular century, that capacity to develop and bring those kinds of capacities and capabilities to people who live here and work here and visit here will help inform and enhance that democratic process. So that's a vision that we're very proud of, and the panel members were very enthusiastic about. And once again, let me underline that there was no dissent from any of that kind of discussion amongst the panel. Everybody agreed with those intentions. Now, of course, good intentions are one thing and execution is quite another. So we took the strategic plan from that very future-oriented perspective of vision and values and began to write a mission statement and a set of first steps to implement that mission statement. The mission statement also inherently contains strategies for its achievements, so let me cover that too. First of all, we put a time frame around the mission statement to make sure that people paid attention and that there was a way of measuring progress as we went along. And you'll hear how we're doing so far in the city on the first 6 months since from Maryam, as I said. We think that within those next 5 years, the city should ensure that high-speed access is available and affordable for anyone who wants it, anywhere in the city. So this notion of ubiquitous and persistent communication is very much a part of that mission statement. It has to be available to anyone who wants it, anywhere in the city. And we believe it's possible to implement strategies that accomplish that within the goals set out for us by the mayor's charge to the panel, which was help close the digital divide in the city, at least around these issues, accelerate economic development. One of the reasons why Curtis Gibbs is so interested in all this is its impact on economic development in a city that can use all the jobs and growth it can find, and also help make our city's government more efficient and at the same time not only cost less but work better in the sense of being more accessible for people who want to reach and touch city government and get something out of it or from it. So how will we do that strategically, and what are our strategies? Well, our fundamental recommendation was the adoption by the mayor and council of a plan that would be phased in over 5 years to leverage the existing communications infrastructure that would build and enhance broadband networks and take advantage of both licensed and unlicensed wireless and Wi-Fi spectrum. In our conversations on the technology, we were very clear that Wi-Fi was an interim stage technology that had certain valuable purposes for people in fixed locations, accessing through devices such as this laptop that I'm using now, and in the near future through handheld devices, that the wireless world would also play an important role here, that it was not just about Wi-Fi speeds and Wi-Fi technology, but third generation wireless technology being deployed in either a CDMA or GSM protocol methodology, that is either through Singular and T-Mobile or Verizon wireless or else Nextel Sprint, that all of those possibilities would bring broadband to individuals in the wireless world in a more mobile environment than potentially Wi-Fi can deliver, and that in the long run, WiMAX would provide an additional layer of throughput and range that would be very valuable. And then as the technologies develop, and we weren't picking technologies, we would be able to continue to build and enhance upon those existing networks using both licensed and unlicensed spectrum, because of course Wi-Fi often operates in unlicensed arenas. And that this could all be done in the next 5 years if we were careful about the steps and stages we took and thought about a plan that coordinated the public and the private sector. So here's our 8-point action plan for your information. First, and I've said this several times, but now let me really focus in on it. We thought that the key part of the action would have to be a public-private partnership business model. We looked at a number of business models, city being the retail provider of broadband services, the city being a wholesale provider of broadband services, the city being a wholesale provider but turning the operation and delivery of the service over to the private sector, which is the model that is seems to be winning the most market acceptance, in the sense that every city that's announced the provision of Wi-Fi or broadband service as a municipal offering have done so by putting it out to bid for delivery of the service itself through private sector companies, whether it be Google for free as proposed in San Francisco, or Earthlink for money as proposed in Philadelphia, etc. And that is essentially the business model that we chose. Our report, which is available through the city, went through a whole series of potential business models and how you would find the money, which we'll talk about in a minute, for financing those things, but concluded that there was no way the city of Los Angeles could take on this task by itself, either in financial resources or inherent skills, that we would need to partner with the private sector to accomplish it. Now, to encourage those public-private partnerships in a way that would create e-government applications that would benefit the city and its residents and its visitors, we wanted to assure that the web pages that any such provider would have available through any facility that was city developed would provide information about and access to various city services. And so we talked essentially about, in the terminology inside the industry, of a splash page or an initial walled garden of city services page that would come up when you access the network, either from your wireless device or your laptop Wi-Fi enabled device, that in all cases anybody who got a chance to ride on this network through the city's capabilities would make sure that the user had easy access to city services and an easy understanding of things about what's happening in the city, where the entertainment venues are, which club is the hottest place to visit at 2 a.m. in the morning, those kinds of things the city would care. Probably where to pay your taxes and so forth, things like that. The next two recommendations, beyond the first two, were really setting the stage of the public-private partnership. The second, and how it would work, and there's much more detail in the report. The next two sets of actions have to do with how would you get started. And one of the things that the panel discovered was that at the moment there is nobody in the city who can say specifically whether there is in fact a digital divide when it comes to broadband access, not necessarily affordability or understanding, but just the first step of broadband usage, whether there's any gaps in the availability of those services, either for residences or business. And I have your presentation here, Maryam. I'm going to do the job of technical assistant. Watch this.
Thank you.
Good job.
Ta-da.
Good afternoon. My name is Maryam Abbassi.
And I have your presentation here, Maryam. I'm going to do the job of technical assistant. Watch this.
Thank you.
Good job.
Ta-da.
Good afternoon. My name is Maryam Abbassi, of Los Angeles Information Technology Agency. I'm here today to talk about what we've done in terms of Wi-Fi and broadband planning and some of the pilot projects that we have underway. As part of our agenda, I wanted to make sure to talk about some of the municipal Wi-Fi trends throughout that we're observing. Also, the community networks across America. And I'm going to share with you something that we've run across, and I thought it would be interesting for this afternoon to look at the Intel's Digital Cities Initiative vision that they have, and then I'll wrap up by talking about where we are today at the City of Los Angeles, and obviously have some time for question and answer. Wi-Fi municipal trends that we've been following up. There are several sources which track and follow broadband and Wi-Fi development. One of the ones that we look at usually is the munywireless.com, which is a good source where you'd find out about recent developments. They've been established since 2003, and they report on broadband projects. And based on our findings, in 2003 there were about 12,000 hotspots in the U.S., and it is predicted by 2007 we're going to have about 72,000 hotspots. They're kind of tracking about a 30% increase in about 5 to 6 months, every 5 to 6 months, and about 64 cities have installed municipal Wi-Fi, and about 12 projects are underway. The bottom line is that the rate of developing citywide wireless broadband networks for public access and public safety and municipal use has accelerated, has been accelerating since 2003, and perhaps 2005 was a good example of many of them that were developed just in that 1 year. There are a wide range of municipal Wi-Fi examples. Some are city and county owned. Some are services available through a local utility model. City or utility leases capacity on, sometimes the city or the utility leases capacity on backbone network to the ISP, or city simply provides incentives for development of wireless network by providing or letting the companies use or lease their pole tops or pole attachments for pole attachment. Community network across America. This is a map that we took from the website that is listed down below. That's the source that we have. I'm going to share with you some statistics. We found in the past year that we were researching either as part of the mayor's executive panel or just as part of our planning and development trend, following up with what's happening in the U.S. and other places. We found that the top 5 most wireless cities in the U.S. are New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Seattle, and Austin, with that same order. Starting with, we tracked about 700 recommendations to the mayor. We've worked on a number of different initiatives, and we've been trying to research what's out there and find trends and following the recommendations. At the same time, we're discussing the municipal wireless policy direction with the current mayor's administration, making sure, again, we're all on the same page, looking at the same vision, and coming back with that phased plan approach. So where are we today? Our focus primarily is, as we are in the City of Los Angeles, public safety and public safety focus. However, what we have today in terms of wireless Wi-Fi is many of them in the public areas and public sites. In the Valley, we have, these are some of the examples I believe in recommendations number 5 and 6 of the panel that recommended to provide access in municipal facilities as well as public access. Valley Van Nuys Civic Center is a municipal facility. If you've been to the Civic Center, it has multiple buildings, federal building, post office, courts, library, police station, fire station, etc. So this was a very good example of a good location where we could start a Wi-Fi pilot site. So that's what we have today, and I'm going to get into more detail about that specific site in later slides. Pershing Square is one of the other sites that is currently operational, and this is with many other research that we've done in this area. Our Department of Water and Power has provided the backhaul to the ISP. Bureau of Street Lighting has given us the pole attachments and power. Department of General Services has given us the rooftop and building access. AirMesh Communications is our partner for equipment and network support. FiberQuest is our internet service provider, and Community Redevelopment Agency, a city agency, is helping us put an Experience LA entry page, which is the splash page of the site. As you see, there are many different levels of partnerships, and it's been a great experience. It's been a great project, and what we're looking to do, again, expand the service to adjacent schools and other type of public areas, if possible. So far, we understand we've received great feedback from the users. They're not necessarily city employees. They're public, those who come to the court. Even during bad weather, rainy season, we have great response, feedback from those who used it, and we track the usage. We had excellent usage. And next, I'm going to give you a little bit more about what's involved in this system. The Wi-Fi network supports the IEEE 802.11